Most people think a dating bio is just a few harmless lines, a joke, a quote, maybe a couple of emojis. But psychologically, a dating bio can reveal far more than people realize. In fact, many people unintentionally expose their mindset, their emotional patterns, and sometimes even their biggest relationship red flags in just 2 or 3 sentences. And the scary part? Most people completely miss it. Today I collected 10 real dating bios from dating apps. The photos are blurred, the names are hidden, but the bios themselves are real, and we are going to break them down from a psychological perspective. Some of these bios may sound confident at first, but when you look closer, they can reveal insecurity. So in this video, we are going to go through 10 dating bios, one by one. But here is the important part. The last 3 bios are the most revealing, because they show psychological patterns that often lead to the most complicated relationships. Once you learn to spot these patterns, you will never read dating profiles the same way again. Let's start with the first bio. This is a very interesting type of dating bio, because at first glance it feels honest, almost disarmingly honest. The person starts by saying they are new to this and they don't really know what they are doing. Now, psychologically, this kind of opening can do 2 things at the same time. On one hand, it creates vulnerability, it signals humility, it makes the reader feel like the person is genuine and not trying too hard. But on the other hand, it can also reveal a subtle lack of confidence. When someone opens a bio by almost apologizing for being there, it can unintentionally lower their perceived value. Then something interesting happens. The bio quickly shifts into reassurance. Kind, caring, active, financially stable. That phrase is not random. When people mention financial stability in a dating bio, they are often trying to signal security and reliability. Almost like saying, I may not know what I'm doing here, but I'm still a safe choice. And finally, the bio adds a bit of background about where they grew up. Where they grew up. This is usually a way to add identity and depth. But overall, this bio shows a mix of honesty, self-awareness, and a subtle need to prove value, which is actually much more common on dating apps than people realize. This type of bio is very different from the previous one, because instead of explaining personality, it shows lifestyle, and it shows a lot of it. Early bird, yoga, Ironman training, marathon runner, ski lover, Muay Thai, fitness enthusiast. Psychologically, when someone lists this many physical activities in a bio, they are sending a very clear signal. I am extremely active, but there is usually another message hidden underneath. Discipline. People who train for things like Ironman or marathons are often trying to communicate something deeper. Not just fitness, but mental toughness, self-control, and a high-performance lifestyle. Then the bio shifts slightly. Traveler, country lover, part-time racer. This starts to build an image. Adventure, movement, a life that rarely sits still. And finally, the bio ends with career information. Working on complex construction projects and large infrastructure. This is another subtle signal. Competence, responsibility, and possibly status. So overall, this bio is less about emotions and much more about identity. It's saying, I live an intense, disciplined life, and if you're part of it, you'll need to keep up. This bio is interesting for a completely different reason. It's written in the third person, and psychologically, that already tells us something. Instead of saying, I am this or I like that, the bio introduces the person almost like a character. Meet Joe. This style often tries to create a playful, larger-than-life personality, almost like branding yourself. Then look at the words being used. Thrill-seeking, tequila-loving, force of nature. These phrases are not really about information, they are about energy. The bio is trying to project excitement, charisma, and a slightly rebellious personality. Then it adds humor, mischievous, funny, a zest for life. This is a classic technique in dating profiles. Instead of proving those qualities, the bio simply labels them and hopes the reader imagines them. Then we see another signal, Mentioning the gym and working on body and mind, that's usually a way to communicate discipline and self-improvement. But the most interesting part is the ending. The kind of trouble that's worth every second of your time. This is playful, but also risky, because it frames the person as exciting chaos, which can be very attractive to some people, and a red flag to others. This type of bio is trying to signal something very specific: intelligence. The very first line already tells you that. I find beauty in intelligence both inside and out. This is a classic way of setting a tone. It's not just describing preferences, it's establishing standards. Almost like saying, this profile is for people who value depth. Then the bio does something interesting. It starts balancing different worlds: football games, art museums, fashion, business. Psychologically, this is a way of communicating versatility. Someone who can move between different social environments, casual and intellectual, relaxed and sophisticated. Then we see another pattern, a long list of interests: exercise, dogs, cooking, fashion, current events, literature, languages. When a bio lists many intellectual and cultural interests like this, it often signals curiosity, but it can also serve another purpose. It subtly communicates education and cultural awareness, almost like building a picture of someone who is thoughtful, informed, and socially polished. And then there are the values: honesty, manners, conversation. Those words are important because they suggest this person values respectful communication and emotional maturity. Overall, this bio is less about excitement and more about signaling depth, culture, and intellectual compatibility. This bio sends a very different signal compared to the previous ones, because the very first thing it highlights is family, proud dad of 2 great daughters. Psychologically, starting a bio this way often communicates responsibility and stability. It shows identity through fatherhood, almost like saying, my life already has meaning and structure. Then the bio shifts into another interesting signal: planner by nature, and I like taking the lead on dates. This is subtle but important. It suggests a personality that enjoys structure and control, someone who prefers organizing experiences rather than improvising everything. For some people that can feel reassuring. For others it might feel a bit dominant. Then the bio softens that image. Input is always welcome. This balances the leadership signal with flexibility, almost like saying, I'll take initiative, but I still value collaboration. Then we see personality traits: curious, active, quick-witted. These are very common descriptors in dating bios, but notice something interesting. The phrase, at least on my good days, that small line adds humor and self-awareness. It humanizes the profile. And finally, the bio ends with a very clear intention: looking to meet someone genuine, which suggests this person is signaling emotional maturity and a preference for something more meaningful than casual attention. This bio is built very differently from the others. It's short, very short, and that is intentional. Instead of explaining personality in long sentences, it uses strong identity statements. Dad first. Right away, this signals priorities. Family comes before everything else. Then the next phrase, builder by nature. Now this is interesting. That word can mean many things. It could mean building businesses, building a life, or building long-term stability. But psychologically, it signals a creator mindset. Someone who wants to construct things that last. Then the bio lists 3 traits: calm, intentional, grounded. These are not flashy words. They are stability words. They signal emotional control rather than excitement. Then another important signal appears: I run businesses. I keep my word. That line is doing a lot of work. It communicates leadership, responsibility, and reliability. Almost like saying, I'm not just ambitious, I'm dependable. Then the bio finishes with something subtle: quiet wins that don't need an audience. This phrase suggests a dislike for showing off. It frames success as something private, which can signal confidence or a desire to appear humble. Overall, this bio is carefully crafted to project stability, leadership, and quiet authority. This bio immediately stands out because it uses humor, but also vulnerability. The very first line already breaks the usual dating profile tone. Instead of listing traits or hobbies, it makes a joke about emotional needs, tired of pretending he doesn't need to be held at night. Now, psychologically, this is interesting, because humor is often used as a shield. It allows someone to say something emotionally honest without sounding too serious. Then the bio adds another unusual detail: 10 years of therapy. Mentioning therapy in a dating bio can signal self-awareness. It can suggest emotional growth, but sometimes it also functions as reassurance, almost like saying, "I've done the work." Then the last line shifts the tone again. "If you don't like me, bring your other dates to my shows." That's clever because it mixes confidence with marketing. It turns rejection into a joke and at the same time promotes the person's career. Overall, this bio is built around personality rather than lifestyle. It uses humor, vulnerability, and self-awareness to stand out, which can be very attractive but also very polarizing. Before we move on, the next 3 bios are actually the most interesting ones in this whole video, because these profiles reveal something deeper about how people try to present themselves on dating apps. Sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's vulnerability, and sometimes it's a little bit of both. So pay close attention to these last 3. They say a lot more than they seem to at first glance. This bio opens with a very specific promise: "I'll keep you laughing, flirt shamelessly, and still make sure you get home safe." Now, psychologically, that line is doing something interesting. It's combining 2 different signals at once: playfulness and protection. The flirting suggests confidence and charm, but the "make sure you get home safe" part signals responsibility. It frames the person as both exciting and dependable. Then the bio moves into identity traits: loyal, affectionate, raised to treat a woman right. These are strong relationship signals. They are meant to communicate respect and long-term values. Then we get a very important piece of context: a 25-year relationship. That detail changes how everything else is interpreted, because it suggests experience with commitment and a life that has already gone through major chapters. Then comes a defensive clarification: "I didn't cheat." When someone proactively denies something in a bio, it often means they want to control a possible assumption, almost like pre-answering a question before it's asked. And finally, the bio ends very clearly: LTR only. That stands for long-term relationship, which signals that this profile is not looking for casual attention, but something stable and serious. This bio takes a very different approach because it mixes humor with very direct signals. The first line starts simple: fun-loving and funny guy. This is actually one of the most common phrases on dating apps, but psychologically, it doesn't say much. Almost everyone describes themselves this way. So the real signals come later: newly single and seeing what's out there. This line tells us something important. It suggests transition, someone who has recently left a relationship and is exploring again. Then we see something positive: great cook. Skills in a bio often work better than personality labels because they create a real-life image. You can picture dinners, dates, experiences, but then the tone shifts. Kink-friendly daddy. This is a very specific signal, and it's intentionally provocative. When someone uses language like this in a bio, they are filtering their audience very quickly. Some people will find it playful. Others will see it as a red flag. But that's often the strategy. It pushes away people who wouldn't be compatible anyway. Overall, this bio mixes casual humor, lifestyle signals, and very direct attraction cues, which makes it bold, but also highly polarizing. This bio immediately feels different from the others, because it reads less like a dating profile, and more like a scene from a novel. It starts with imagery: a look, a shift in her breath, the spark. This kind of language is very intentional. It tries to create atmosphere instead of giving information. Psychologically, this style is often used to trigger imagination. The reader is supposed to feel something before they even understand the person. Then the bio introduces something very specific. Tantra. That word carries a lot of meaning. It usually signals a focus on slow intimacy, physical awareness, and deeper sensual connection. But in dating profiles, it also functions as a filter. People who are uncomfortable with that theme will immediately swipe away, and the ones who are curious will stay. Then the language becomes even more sensory, slow, rough, deep, playful. Notice how none of this talks about personality traits. Instead, it focuses on experience, touch, chemistry, energy, and finally the bio ends with a strong emotional hook. You'll feel it before we speak. That line is meant to suggest intense chemistry, almost like attraction is inevitable. So overall, this profile is designed to create intrigue, sensual tension, and curiosity, rather than presenting a traditional structured identity. After looking at all these profiles, one thing becomes very clear. A bio is never just a few sentences. It's a signal. Sometimes people are trying to show confidence, sometimes stability, sometimes excitement, or even vulnerability. And the interesting part is this: what people choose to say in a bio often reveals much more than they realize. But remember, a bio is only one piece of the puzzle. Photos, prompts, and small behavioral signals inside a profile often reveal even deeper psychology. If you haven't seen the previous video where I analyzed the psychology of entire dating profiles, you should definitely watch that next. And in the next video, we're going to go even deeper, because there are some hidden patterns in dating profiles that most people completely miss. And once you see them, you can't unsee them.